There's a documentarian named Louis Theroux, who's been a celebrated documentarian for quite a while. He is Jewish. He's a British Jew. And he made a film about the settler movement, I think 13, 14 years ago in the West Bank. But this time the BBC commissioned a new documentary for him to go to the West Bank and report on what is now. When he reported on it then, it was like a fringe group. Israeli politicians kept it arm's length, often condemned them. But now with them being completely mainstream, occupying the highest positions of government, Ben-Gvir is a huge, complete supporter of the settlement movement. He went back to the West Bank and produced a documentary for the BBC, and it's a shocking documentary. It's about an hour long. You can watch it online now. And what's amazing about it is it went through BBC's editorial process, and they're extremely careful, to put that mildly, about the criticism they're willing to express about Israel. And yet, most of what he did was just go and put a microphone in front of the leaders of this movement, just like I showed you. All I showed you was what Israel's most vocal supporters in the US are saying. I didn't put commentary around it in terms of like putting on the video. I didn't use graphics or any kind of distortion. I just played for you what they say in front of a microphone. And that's what he basically did in this video. One of the stars of the documentary is Daniela Weiss. She has been working on annexation of the West Bank and Gaza. She wants Israel to, and the Jewish people to control all of it. And there's a lot of clips circulating online, 10 minutes or so, about the things she said. Here's just a small clip.
Settlers do not wake up in the morning or do not go wait for sundown to attack. No, 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 no. Why should we wake up in the morning and think about violence? Why? Our life is good.
Because you want the Palestinians to leave.
No, 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 no.
You've said so.
I said that what is on my mind all the time is how to bring more people to settle the land. This is a new development by Jews. This is Har Bracha. This is Yitzhar. Here we can develop, here we cannot develop. I never think in terms of, I know this is beta. Mm-hmm. I don't think about beta.
Why not?
Because I think about, I'm a Jew.
The people.
I'm a settler.
The people.
I'm a human being.
Yes, you are. So are they.
So I do not think about this.
You're thinking about tribalism, thinking of your own people to the exclusion. It would be understandable to think of your own people or your own children first, but to think about other people, other children, not at all, that seems sociopathic.
I can...
Doesn't it?
No, not at all. This is normal.
All right, here's just one other clip, just to give you a sense for this documentary, which I really encourage, but also some of what he saw when he was there.
Then the settler convoy arrived at what seemed to be its destination. A viewpoint overlooking the war zone. Daniela had told me she'd signed up 800 families who were ready to move into Gaza. One of her team explained how it would work.
Over there we can see the north of the Gaza Strip. We're now preparing a temporary site comprising of 40 caravans currently being manufactured, designed to be brought to one of the new settlements. We don't yet know which one.
The idea seemed to be to get spiritual buy-in from the two rabbis. One of them was next to speak, Rabbi Dov Lior.
Look, gentlemen, to my mind, there was never peace with these savages. There is no peace and never will be. It's not that I don't want peace, I want peace too. This land belongs only to the people of Israel. All of Gaza, all of Lebanon should be cleansed of these, quote, camel riders. Whoever runs away, good on them. Whoever doesn't, well, we'll encourage him to do so. including providing money so they can buy everything they need. Are these journalists, by the way, pointing at the people filming? I've stopped speaking to journalists for years now. I have lost any trust in them. And then they're told stop recording by people with heavy weapons and machine guns and the like. So this are the people in their own words. This is the predominant ideology in Israel. A lot of Israelis like to pretend, oh, this is just a fringe group still. I mean, they're in all the top positions in the government. The military is dispatched to protect them as they steal Palestinians' houses and land. And they have a Jewish supremacist ideology, which they believe entitles them to take the land of people they consider inferior. Non-Jews, Arabs, Palestinians, savages, as they call them, human animals. As Yoav Gallant, the former defense minister, called them when announcing that they would block all food and water and electricity and fuel from entering Gaza. And at the end of the day, the question always we need to come back to is, why is the United States paying for these people? Why are we providing the guns and the bullets and the tanks and the Air Force that enable them to do this? How is it in America's interest? You know, the view of the United States government always had been, I mean, going back to Reagan, Bush 41, into the Clinton years, through Bush and Cheney, and then into the Obama years. The view of the United States government in both political parties has always been that it is a danger to American interests to have the Israeli-Palestinian conflict continue. And it was the official policy of the United States government to strive for the creation of a two-state solution where Palestinians live side by side with the Israelis. And everybody knew, including the US government, that the more this settlement movement was permitted to eat up the West Bank, the more impossible that would become. And the assumption was like, at some point the IDF has to go and remove these settlers. Even though the settlers always said, we'll have a war with our military if they try and remove us from this land. But that was always the assumption. It was always the view of the US government that settlements and its expansion were a danger, a threat to, a harm to American national interests. And that's why the Bush 41 administration tried to say, we're not going to continue to give you loan guarantees, Israel, unless you stop these settlement expansions. That was Bush 41, his Secretary of State, James Baker, his National Security Advisor, Brett Scowcroft. And there was a huge campaign to take Jim Baker, one of the most respected Texan lawyers and politicians. He was kind of this like wise man he was viewed as in Washington. And overnight, they just turned him into an anti-Semite. Just article after article, Jim Baker is an anti-Semite, lots of Democratic supporters of Israel, Republican supporters of Israel, just destroyed his reputation. And since then, nobody's really been able to stand up in the United States to Israel, but it still has been the policy that all of this that we're enabling, that they're doing, is contrary to American interests, because Colin Powell has said, David Petraeus has said, generals have long said, that a major cause of anti-American hatred in that region is the understanding that we support the Israelis as they attack Palestinians and the Lebanese and the Syrians, basically whoever they want. And then terrorist attacks come to our soil, fueled in part by our support for Israel. And so that's why American policymakers have always said, we want this conflict to end, and we want it to end with a two-state solution. Trump knows that's impossible, which is why he's now talking about expelling Gazans, turning it into a Trump casino in Taj Mahal that the Israelis own and that Trump benefits from. Just get all the Gazans out. And that has been the point of the war from the beginning. It's not about the hostages. It's not about vengeance against Hamas for October 7th. It's not even about preventing Hamas from governing Gaza. It's what these people are saying. They think this is their land, even though the entire world thinks it isn't. And all of this that we're paying for, all of this that we're arming, all of this we're tying ourselves to, for 30 years has been considered to be a destruction of American interests, and yet we place Israeli interests first for the reason that Tucker Carlson said, in part, that it's because Israel floods our political system with massive donations. They can remove members of Congress. I don't want to say it will, because that's too much, but with far more capacity than any other interest group. They poured $15 million into a Democratic congressional primary in order to remove Cori Bush. They found some local black politician who was willing to be supremely pro-Israel. They gave him $15 million, funded his whole campaign, did the same thing with Jamal Bowman. Just to show, if you are in the United States and you question the U.S. support for Israel, if you criticize Israel, your political career is over. It's over. And that has been what has been driving not just our foreign policy, but increasingly our domestic policy. The erosion of rights at home and all of the other things that are happening. So you might consider spending the whole show as spending the show focused on Israel or this war on the other side of the world. It's not. This is radically and fundamentally harming the United States. Our rights at home, our economic prosperity, our standing in the world. So if you are American, or any country in Europe that vehemently supports Israel, this is all you're doing. And the way in which it's harming you is all coming from the exploitation of you to pay for it, to support it, to sacrifice for it. When you hear these people, what they think and what they say, and as the Israelis necessarily escalate their war crimes, really starving 2 million people to death, or forcing them to leave as the only way to survive, cutting off all medicine, bombing their water supply, they have to justify more and more the severity of these crimes, and as a result, the severity of their rhetoric, the severity of their tactics, the severity of their ideology becomes more manifest. Not just in Israel, but in the United States. And we're seeing that manifest in so many different ways that have multiple serious detriments to the United States. And if you're an American citizen, like most Americans are now doing, you should really be questioning why the United States wants to continue to support this and enable it, given the multiple harms it causes. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.